All right, everybody, welcome back to the Cut to the Chase Bengals Blitz. Back at it again. I'm your host, Chase Younts. To my right, got Ben Conners in studio. Ben, what's going on, man?
Not much. Looking forward to week 2. Hopefully we can forget week 1, but let's see what we can analyze here.
Hey, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't remember week 1. Nah, just kidding. But yes,
Preseason
guys.
game 4 for us.
Yeah, preseason game 4 at that point. But yes, again, like the video, subscribe to us on YouTube, like the audio if you're listening to us. We appreciate all the support that has been going on. Yes, the Bengals did lose their game against the Patriots on Sunday. You've heard it on every show. You've heard it nationally, locally, all over the place. Trust me, I've heard it. I have a headache. Ben's got a headache. Ben in his nice looking house in the background. He's like, I'm sitting there, but watching the game in such a nice place. But the Bengals are losing. Yeah. Deep in thought, aren't you?
Very deep, yeah. Week 1 did not go as planned. We were at home against what many called an inferior opponent, which kind of leads to most upsets. And yeah, we didn't get the win. There wasn't that many good takeaways. My biggest takeaway was our punting unit looked amazing. And that usually is only said if it's followed by a loss. So that's about where I'm at mentally right now, besides the beautiful looking house that we have.
That's very true. And that's something I need to upgrade from this blank wall behind me. But hey, again, we find the little things in life to win. The Bengals did not win on Sunday, unfortunately. It was, like Ben put it, I mean, it was putting a team that's supposed to be an inferior opponent, and they looked down upon them and actually kind of looked over them, it kind of felt like. But it felt like that team was just so unprepared. They looked super unprepared. It's almost like the Bengals didn't know that the Patriots were going to try to run the football, make it an ugly game, and then try to force everything underneath for Joe Burrow to throw the ball and not give up any deep plays. It's almost like the Bengals didn't know any of that was going to happen, and they were shell-shocked. So, again, and, you think about it, you look back, and it's like, okay, the Bengals, if we would have, had ball security, if we would have tackled better, the Bengals probably win that game. Very ugly. But even at that point, if they were able to make a couple of those plays and still, the Bengals didn't look that great, but they're still 1-0. That's the crazy thing. It's a couple plays that change the course of a game. And that's why it's a game of inches. And you can take that into many different perspectives as yards on a play, as being close to scoring a touchdown, getting a third or fourth down conversion. It's crazy how that works. But again, there are 16 games left. Hopefully the Bengals can bounce back this week. They do play the Kansas City Chiefs in, a huge game on Sunday at 4:25 on CBS. Jim Nantz, Tony Romo, Tracy Wolfson, all on the call for CBS out in Kansas City. When I was looking at this thing on the schedule, I was like, we put the Patriots week 1, we got the Chiefs week 2. Everyone's going to look at that Chiefs game, early in the season. I'm like, we can't overlook the Patriots. Well, now you overlook the Patriots. Now you're 0-1. You're in the same spot before. And we're going into Arrowhead after they beat the Baltimore Ravens the week before. And again, I'm going to stop talking about last week, all right, in the regards of the Bengals and Patriots. But, like, what are the initial thoughts heading into this game, Ben? Like, what are your expectations?
Yeah, huge game. Highly anticipated game, to say the least. Piggybacking off of what the last thing we'll say about week 1, we're still in the Zach era, first 2 weeks of the season, and we are 1-10 in that time period. Yeah. Try not thinking about it during week 1. It brought itself to life pretty quickly. Anything's possible, so we can try to look forward. I'm looking forward to everything looking better besides the punting unit. I'm looking for better run game, much, much better defensive run stop.
Yeah.
Passing looked okay. Higgins, I still believe, is questionable as of right now.
Yep.
Not looking likely, but it could happen. I just want to see better on both sides of the ball, but specifically, I really want to see some energy, some excitement. The plays we ran week 1 were not exciting. There was no spontaneous deep ball that worked out. There was no big runs. There was no trickery. There was nothing. We looked flat. We played flat. We played basic. Burrow had 164 yards, 0 touchdowns, and 0 interceptions. If I see that stat, do I think we won the game? I would think it's either a close loss or barely squeaked out a win. So we need more excitement. And Gesicki was right there, better ball control. We've talked about it all week. Better discipline all around. Just an all-out better Bengals game on every side of the ball. And hopefully, no matter the score, we're not talking about how good the punting unit was after the game.
Couldn't have said it any better right there, Ben. The thing was, we didn't have any sort of juice the entire game week 1. And if you think about it, you had an orange out, you open up an orange, you had a sellout crowd, it was all excitement. It's the new pieces on offense, this, that, the other. And it's, you go out there and you play it like it's different having a vanilla game plan, but they played it like they played it like 3 scoops vanilla ice cream right there, man. It was too much vanilla. All right. There were, the route concepts were just, it was quick game, but it wasn't quick enough game. You know what I'm saying? It was like, it just felt like the offense was in jail. That's honestly what it felt like. It was some of the same concepts, some different concepts, but with the same results. Burrow in the pocket, like the pocket wasn't bad. When you go back and watch it, the offensive line really didn't play that bad from a pass protection standpoint. There were a few plays where Burrow really had some time, and just it looked like he went through his reads a bit quicker than what he normally would have. And again, we've talked about it before. It's the first couple weeks of the season. I don't want it to be like a footnote. I don't want it to be anything that we can just kind of just fall back on, because it's not a fun thing to fall back on. It's like falling back on like needles in a haystack, or hay in a needle stack. I don't know. It's just it's annoying. It really is. But they got to get it figured out. They got to be more elaborate. They got to be more creative. They have to establish themselves one way or another early on. And that does start with the run game. They weren't able to really start with the run game that great to start off in week 1. And then it reverted to them having to throw the football because they got behind so much. And that's going to be an issue if that's the case. We have to get out to a fast start. That's the big thing going forward. And again, we talked about this off camera. I showed you a chart of Jamar Chase and Cooper Kupp's route tree. So like the first thing, like what was the first thing you thought when you saw all of those lines on the next gen stats chart from Cooper Kupp on Sunday night?
How it should be. He was all over the field, different routes, different areas of the field, different plays. That's how it should be. And that's what we have, one of the best wide receivers in the NFL. We need to utilize him. I know T. Higgins was out, and that played somewhat of a factor. But Jamar, we can go deep. We can do short routes. Our playbook looked so dry, and we had the Patriots didn't have anything to fear because there was nothing. You didn't think Jamar was going to do anything crazy because he wasn't planning on it. He didn't have any plays that showed him to go any specific route that was, that could be explosive or a big play, or like when we played the Chiefs in the Super Bowl year, Jamar spins out of it, long touchdown. I don't think the Patriots ever feared that, and I know the Chiefs know it can happen, but I don't know if they're going to fear it. If they look at that play, or if they look at, a lot of the plays, and if they look at the tape from last week, I'm not scared. Let Jamar do whatever he wants, because it didn't work out very well. So I think we need to open that playbook wide open. Let Jamar go crazy, go anywhere.
Without a doubt.
Jamar's out there somewhere. What happened to that?
Yeah, exactly. Like they got to find ways to get their best playmaker the football. And funny enough, you mentioned with T not being out there. I mean, you look at what the Rams dealt with on Sunday night. Cooper Kupp was, their main guy, but Puka Nacua got hurt. The Lions knew, hey, Cooper Kupp, it's his show right now. It's been his show, but it's his show at the moment. But they kept going to him. They kept moving him around and finding ways to get Cooper Kupp the football. And that's what the Bengals should be doing with Jamar Chase. And if they move him around, and then it'll give guys even more opportunities on off chances when people are picking up on Jamar here and there. So, I mean, and it allows, just other people to get involved, the run game as well. So, maybe using Jamar Chase as your focal point instead of establishing the run early and often. I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see how they do that. But again, this is like I don't want to play devil's advocate with this, but like with the Bengals coming off such an embarrassing loss, them going to play Kansas City could be one of the best things or one of the worst things that could happen. Okay. But I will take it from a positive standpoint. The Bengals seem to always be ready to play when they are going against the Chiefs. They're going into Arrowhead on the road, national TV. They have to flip the script. Like when we watch these games, they're so stressful. Okay, that's all Bengals games, but Bengals-Chiefs games are very, very stressful, very stressful. But again, it brings some of the best out in these players on our roster. You've seen Burrow have some great performances, Jamar Chase have some legendary performances, Trey Hendrickson have some legendary performances. We talked about this. Our stars were just kind of there week one. Do you think any of them show up and become actual stars in week two?
Yeah. And laying a baseline, every time Burrow's played in a game against the Chiefs, the outcome is decided by 3 or less points. I have faith that that's going to be the case come Sunday. But how we're going to get there, Jamar, we have to utilize him. I don't even have the exact answer, but it cannot be like it was week one. We need everybody. Everybody seems to play. The Bengals just historically in the Burrow era seem to play up to the challenge, and then they seem to play down Browns games and such. They seem to play down when the opponent is like a lesser team, but they seem to play their best when it's especially the Chiefs, usually the Ravens too. So I think we really need to make everything click. The run game needs to complement the receiving game, and it just needs to be explosive. It needs to have that fire. When we first played the Chiefs the Super Bowl year, I wasn't super confident. I thought it'd be an okay game. Jamar Chase, 266 yards. Yeah, you might win that game. And we did. But that's what it takes, and that's what we have to play like. So we really need Zach Moss. He looked like he had he was running with some aggression. Overall, the game wasn't very good to judge that off of, and we didn't play very well, but it was looking like it was there. We need that. We need a Chase Brown 32-yard run on 3rd and 10 with inside the 40. We need that, and we need everything else to go well, and we have a chance. But if we played like week one, no spark, no fire, very limited playbook, Burrow's not hurt anymore. We can't play like it. You can open up the pocket. You can let him run. He did several times last week. It's fine. That's what he's there for. That's what he gets paid a lot of money to do. We need to let Burrow kind of take over. Jamar needs to get open. And we need to utilize all our new pieces too. We didn't see anything from Burton. I don't think he had one catch. I don't think Chuck Sizzle, for the Purdue fans, only main play was a big fumble that cost us. We need to play more disciplined. We need to play more correct. Just need to play good football. If we lose 31-34, I'm not looking back on it with any regret. But if we come out and we just look flat and uninspired and no juice, we're going to lose 7-35, and we're going to have a lot of questions going into week 3.
And again, I mean, for this matchup and this magnitude on this stage, I don't know how you couldn't be juiced up. I'm excited to see it. I think the Bengals are going to come out energized, and I think they're going to come out with hopefully a better game plan than what was week 1. But looking at it, talk about keys to the game right now. It's all like it's a baseline simple stuff. But again, you're going up against Patrick Mahomes. You're going up against Travis Kelce. You're going up against Chris Jones. They have a bunch of stars of their own. They're back-to-back Super Bowl champions. 3 out of the last 5 years they've won it. But the thing is this, you have to get ahead. You got to get ahead of the curve in this one. And that means I want to take a look at that Niners game from last year the Bengals had. The Bengals got out to a hot start, and they played from ahead the whole game. And they had that confidence. They had the juice and energy. And they just, you know what? The Niners scored? All right. We'll go back down and score again. Let's do it, And they just kept having an answer. Just have an answer, If you have an answer in this game, and it's a good enough answer, then this is going to be a great game to watch, So that's the thing. Obviously, you're going up against 15 on the other side, and 15 he's a bad man. I'll tell you that. No Stephen A. Smith on that. But he is, he's one of the best quarterbacks of all time we've ever watched. It's going to be, very intriguing to see how Andy Reid manipulates the offense, how he moves things around. Isaiah Pacheco kind of worries me in that regard in the run game. If guys are able to tackle, then, we should be okay in that circumstance. Pacheco does force a lot of missed tackles, but if our guys are playing sound and discipline, this is going to be a good battle. And, Lou Anarumo's had a pretty good game plan for Patrick Mahomes over the last, I think they've played 5 times in this regard, 5 or 6 times. He's had a pretty good game plan overall for him. And it would be nice to see Lou dial up another game plan, have those guys in the right spots, and then, Hendrickson get home a couple times. Hubbard's got to snap out of it, man. Because, it feels like he's kind of been non-existent, over this past game and then the last 5-6 weeks in 2023. He's got to have a breakout, This would be the game to do it. So the pass rush has to get alive, and stopping the run is going to be a big thing. You just got to get home. That's the key on defense. Get home. Finish plays off. Because when you're letting guys run wide open after having them stop for about a loss or only a gain of 1, and they get 8 or 9 yards after contact, that's so deflating. It's so deflating. So they have to get home. You have to finish the assignment. You have the assignment, now finish it. All right? It's like school. But yeah, it's big. 15 such a tough player to play against, but there is a way to beat him. The man is not immortal, Ben.
You said it perfectly. And I think the number one thing from the Patriots game that I could not stop saying, get him. Get his ass.
Yeah.
He's right there. There was several key plays that easily could have been a loss of 5, 6, 7 yards that Brissett or someone turned into positive 5, 6, 7 yards.
Yeah.
That's going to lose you the game. And the Chiefs are going to do that times 10 if we give them the chance. Hendrickson, Hubbard, Logan Wilson played okay, but get his ass. Mahomes is going to run, and he is going to find a way to make a play. We've seen it the entire time of the Burrow era. But if you can get to him, you can shake him up. I think a lot to the AFC Championship 2021, fourth quarter heading into overtime. We had them shaken up. They got a field goal on that drive. They were marching. They easily could have punched that in for the touchdown. Shake him up. Hit him. Get him on the ground. Let him know it's not going to be that kind of day. I want to see that the first play of the game. We had 0 sacks. We have 0 sacks this season. And we have a really, really good defensive line. There's no reason for that. It was sloppy play. I think we correct a lot of things, as we've discussed. And, just play the way that we've seen the Bengals play with Burrow 3 out of 4 times. And even the 4th time, amazing game, wrong result. just play. You gotta take them seriously. There is no Burrow head. We're not overlooking the Chiefs in the slightest. We're actually trying to see how we can compete with them after last week.
Exactly. You psychology or sociology major from IUPUI?
Sociology major from the great IUPUI.
Okay, because I was gonna say the psyche, I was gonna go with the psyche of getting after Mahomes, hitting him a few times and getting those QB hits early on in the game, get a couple sacks. Again, we know Patrick Mahomes is, people call him the Michael Jordan and stuff. That's Tony Romo. You'll listen to him Sunday, but again, with Patrick Mahomes, it's like, he's still human. If you hit him a couple times and let him know, hey, we're gonna be here all day. We're gonna be here all day. It's gonna raise the level of play. And I'm not gonna say it's gonna change Patrick Mahomes' mindset as to, I'm gonna shrink in the moment, but it might, it might have him a little prickly at that point. So that's the big thing, man. Just, the psyche of it. So it does play with you. It does, get hit a couple of times, get hit really hard a couple of times, getting home early in the game, it can get to you. But again, offensively for Cincinnati, we've talked about it before. It's the balance and efficiency on offense and winning the offensive line, winning the offensive, the line of scrimmage is the big thing. They move Chris Jones out to the edge at times. They move him around a bit. He's one of the best, if he's the best defensive lineman in football, I would say, when he's playing in the interior and stuff. They have to account for him. Joe's got to be able to stand in that pocket and make some throws. He's also got to be able to buy time at times and get out of the pocket and make plays. Efficiency, elaborate on offense. Don't be afraid to take some shots. Don't be afraid to move the pocket for Joe. Don't be afraid to move Jamar Chase around and let him do a bit of everything. That's the big thing. Establish a run game early. Zach Moss going. Get Chase Brown. Some screens. One of our best plays last week was a screen for 12 yards to Zach Moss. Imagine you get Chase Brown out in a screen. We saw what Chase Brown did in a screen week 14 against the Colts last year. He took it for a touchdown. He was one of the fastest players recorded in the National Football League last season on that play. Look, get your guys out in space. Get your playmakers out in space. Scheme them up. I wouldn't say the scheme was horrible on Sunday, but it wasn't great. Players weren't making plays, but it still wasn't great. Everyone's got to up that energy. Everyone has to up. They had to get the accountability, all right? If you get the accountability and then you go out there and you know what? We got to execute. We have to change a couple of things up to win this game, and we have to be on our A game, then it's going to be a game, and the Bengals could win this football game if they do that, all right? If they're able to take accountability and put it on the field and say, hey, we're going balls to the wall. We're trying to win this football game. All right. We got to get the 1-1. We're playing against these guys. These guys ended our season last year from having a chance to make the playoffs, took us to 8-8, and we got eliminated. Then the year before that, in the AFC Championship game, back-to-back AFC Championship matchups, we lose off a game-winning field goal after there was a bunch of questionable calls with the officiating, and I'm not going to get into that. But on top of that, the Chiefs have ended the Bengals' chances of going to the playoffs and the Super Bowl the last 2 years. If they don't come out pissed off, ready to go, hair on fire, ready to beat that ass, I don't know what else can spark you up. I don't know. But I need to see number 9, Joe Burrow, guns blazing, ready to go and say, hey, we here and we about to get this dub. That's all I got to say. Bengals in 4.
Yeah.
Off that note.
We're looking for win number 4 out of 5.
Man. In the series.
Mahomes with Burrow. And like you said, Chase, our last 3 seasons, we've either ended theirs or they've ended ours.
Yeah.
And we've seen what they do when theirs doesn't end.
Yep.
They take it all the way. So, yeah, if it's not for us, they might have 3 straight Super Bowls. Who knows? Doesn't matter. But they don't like us. We don't like them. But I think most Bengals fans and most Bengals players, not the mayor of Cincinnati, would agree. We respect them. We do respect them.
We do respect them.
And they're the 2
Yes.
Back-to-back defending champions, 3 out of the last 4 years. If it wasn't for us, it very well could be all 4 years. So we need to come out and show them we're looking for our identity as well.
Yeah.
If you want to find that identity, 47-yard run by Zach Moss. Okay, we can run the ball.
We'll take it.
83-yard touchdown. Jamar Chase. Everyone on fantasy goes crazy. Okay, the Bengals are back. They can throw it. Defense, 3 picks on Mahomes. Okay. Geno Stone was a good addition.
Would be wild.
That's where you find the identity. Last week, what were the takeaways? Our punter was insanely good, and Burrow physically can play and doesn't look injured. That's the identity of the 2024 Cincinnati Bengals after 1 week. Let's find a little more week 2 against the defending Super Bowl champions. Where better else can we see how we can actually play? If week 1 was a fluke, let's go show it in week 2. Let's beat them in Kansas City. And if it all else fails, really good game where we saw a lot of stride.
Let's figure it out. That's the goal. Let's figure it out. Call plan to action and let's do it. But yeah, that's pretty much all we got to say about that again. I mean, it's, we're not really going to make any score predictions. It's, I'm going to ride with the Bengals, but again, the Chiefs are favored and everything else. So, one way or another, it wouldn't surprise me, but you know what? This is just going to be a fun game. I'm excited to watch it. There could be a lot of good stuff that comes out of this one, but one way or another. But yeah, with that being said, that's Ben Conners. I'm Chase Younts. It's been the Bengals Blitz, and we will see you guys next time, hopefully after a Bengals dub. Who dey?
Bring the juice.